friends. This is Janine Pettit with my sidekick,
Lesa McDermott.
and we are here on the Girl Camper podcast with our first ever episode of
Are you
A
the
Crappy
crappy camper?
So, with 400,000 people on our Facebook group, there's a lot of letters that come in. It's something like, how many posts per month do we have on that site?
Oh,
It's
geez.
200 a week, or
It's quite a few thousand every month that we
yeah,
get. Yeah.
we should look that up, but it's a lot. So it's very interesting to see the ones that kind of blow up, and we're going to be
Mhm.
talking about some of them today on the Girl Camper podcast. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, but before we dive in, we're going to bring you a word from our sponsor because none of this happens without them.
Kurt Echo Mobile Brake Controller is a world-first mobile Bluetooth brake controller that can give you an entirely new towing experience. It's easily plug and play into your RV wiring harness with no tools required. It connects wirelessly and syncs with your smartphone to control and monitor all trailer brake activities. Its compact, portable design allows for easy transfer from one vehicle to another and convenient storage when it's not in use. Check it out in the complete family of Echo units to find the best fit for your towing setup. Big thank you to today's show sponsor. So let's dive in, Janine, to our first question. And are you a crappy camper?
Are you a crappy camper? First names only here. This came in from Dorian. Had a great camp out with the kids with one exception. And then she writes in parentheses, I know this is a hot topic, but campsite maintenance, AKA don't leave the site gross for the next camper. No, she's got a list here, so buckle up. Number 1, don't dump rainbow marshmallows or any marshmallows all over the campsite when you leave. We spent a good deal of time picking up melted ant-covered goo prior to setting up camp to keep our gear and shoes from getting gross. All of the marshmallows were dumped in the camping pad area, so it's not like we could avoid them. Number 2, I'm not a fan of sidewalk chalk, especially on picnic tables, trees, and non-sidewalk items. I'm with you here, Dorian.
Me too.
This wasn't a small smiley or a scribble, but entirely covered with no wood remaining. I think most people would agree that they don't want colored clothing and gear just because you wanted to sit down.
Mm.
Okay, number 3. Who dumps a ton of milk and fruity pebbles in the tree stump? Apparently someone. It smelled and we had bees swarming. Weirdest trashing ever. Leave a nice site. Thanks for letting me vent. Okay.
Wow.
Not surprisingly, 179 comments on this post. People had things to say. Let's start with number 1. Don't dump rainbow marshmallows or on the campsite.
Don't dump anything on your
Right.
campsite. I mean, do you want to go to a campsite and find sunflower seed shells scattered all over? I don't want to do that
Yeah.
because we're in somebody else's mouth. You know, you wouldn't leave your friend's house that way, or an Airbnb or a hotel room. At least I hope you wouldn't leave things that way. Please don't do that at a campground.
I mean, is there anyone in the world who's never heard of leave no trace?
Oh man, yeah, I hope not.
I mean, leave no trace. We're talking about a candy wrapper, not a bag of marshmallows all over the place.
Exactly.
You should leave the campsite like you found it, and even cleaner if you can. So if you
Even
come
better.
in and someone's put a beer bottle in the fire ring,
Take it out. Yeah.
because it would depend. Like if you're in a state park, sometimes that's a camp host monitoring 180 sites. How are you
Right.
going to get to every campfire ring and
Right.
clean it? So you are helping the camp host if you clean up. You're hurting the camp host if you
If you leave it.
do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this for a second. What if this wasn't a state park? What if it was a private campground? So I camp at a campground that is so finicky about this, but it's kind of one of the reasons I like it. So you actually sign a paper there saying you agree not to cut any branches on your campsite, not to nail into a tree. I mean, they're so serious about all of this. They do a site inspection, just like if you left an Airbnb and they come back and say,
Wow.
you broke 2 coffee cups. We charged you $15 each. They will go back if you've left a site like this and charge you a cleanup fee.
Now that you said that, there is a campground here in the Custer area of South Dakota
Mhm.
that will do the same thing, and they're looking for dog poop.
Oh,
You let your dog poop in the campsite
yeah.
and not cleaned up, and if you did, they're gonna charge you for it.
That would be a little harder to prove. But it's like if
Mhm.
it's your site and you came in there fruity pebbles in a tree stump,
That
you could
yeah.
really just say, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
then, yeah. So, but it's really to me a shame that you have to incentivize people with the fear of a fine
Mhm.
to just do the right thing.
Right. It's too bad, but do the right thing, people.
I mean, it sounds like there was a lot of kids at this camp out, and maybe the people had enough on their plate just rounding up a pile of kids that obviously are kind of feral, if you ask me. You're dumping fruity pebbles and stuff all over. Like, I don't know, somebody was overwhelmed, but I feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, like everybody should take a look. When I was a kid camping and my parents would finally get 7 of us in the station wagon with the tent, the screen room on top and pull in the pop up behind us, and we would pull out of the site. My dad would always get out and walk the site looking for things that we left and
Mm.
picking up any little wrappers or some flip flop or something. This you always did a site inspection when you were leaving.
Mhm.
Chances are you've left a piece of gear or something, but
Right.
obviously you don't leave that behind.
Well, think about when we rent an Airbnb or VBRO, there is that whole, checklist of when you
Yeah.
check in that you should be checking to
Mhm.
make sure is there, and when you check out the same thing, and if it's not, you're gonna get a huge fine. So apply those principles at the campsites too,
All right. Now this one gets me because I've had experience with this one.
Sidewalk
Um,
chalk.
Sidewalk chalk. I'm not a fan of sidewalk chalk. It's becoming a thing, and they're selling it in camp stores, and I object.
Shame on you.
I know I have grandkids; they like sidewalk chalk, but here's the thing about sidewalk chalk: it's kind of a city thing. It's kind of a suburban thing. It's kind of like I need to keep these kids occupied while I get dinner started. Here's a box of chalk. Go outside on the back porch and draw daddy a picture, right? I feel like you've got kids at the campground. Okay, get them on a scavenger hunt. Give them a grid of things to go out there and find. Buy one of those corny things at the camp store that they put lightning bugs in. I mean, there's got to be something better to do than bringing something that they could do at home to a campground.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this because I do love sidewalk chalk, but on the picnic tables, on trees, no, leave those things alone. If you have your kids or even yourself want to
Yeah,
go do some doodling, um, do it on on the road. Do it on a hard surface where it's meant
yeah.
to be a sidewalk, so
I just
anyway.
feel like leave your sidewalk chalk at home. You know, it's a fun thing at campground. Bubbles.
Oh yeah, bubble.
Bubble.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a little nerdy science thing with kids too. When you get the Dawn soap in the bucket and then you get the rope and you make the big giant bubble,
Mhm.
it dissipates. Kids seem to think that's so cool. Um, for like $7.99, I bought one of those bubble guns that runs on a
Yes.
battery.
Oh, I've
Wow.
seen those.
I mean, it's grown up fun too.
Absolutely.
That is so much fun.
Mhm.
So I just feel like leave your sidewalk chalk.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
We talked about the fruity pebbles and the stump.
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of obvious. Don't do that. Hopefully that was like a 4-year-old that did that.
And maybe mom didn't see,
Yeah.
let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But even if mom didn't see that, if she had the courtesy to do a walk around the campsite before she left, she would have seen it and maybe just gotten a couple buckets of water and washed it
Mm,
out,
good point. Yeah, good point.
because some kid who was told to finish their breakfast might have dumped that when mom wasn't looking. But I mean, this is why you do the walk around, right?
Yeah. Yep. Leave your campsite better than you found it.
Yeah, leave no trace. Let's see what the people are saying on this. Um, Stacy says, my first thought is, did the marshmallows get dumped in cereal left by kids as their parents tried to corral them and break camp? Sometimes people are just holding on by a thread. I agree with
I
Stacy.
do too.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, been there, done that, but you do the walk around. Martha, Report it to the campground owner. They can look to see who rented the spot last. I worked in a camp office at a private campground in Virginia, and if someone trashed the site, we wouldn't rent to them again. Again, you have to incentivize people to just kind of do the right thing.
Right.
Becky, I'm shocked. That's absolutely rude and no consideration for others that come behind you. I think we could all agree that it's
Oh, how
not
about that one?
considerate.
Sent our 9-year-old out today to go pick up trash before we left the campground. She wasn't extremely happy, but did it anyway. I was shocked by the amount she had when she returned. Leave it nicer than you found it.
Okay, first,
I love that
Elise,
idea.
high five for great parenting. And I think that is what involves kids in the campsite. And you really teach them more by engaging them and doing
Mhm.
it with you. So yeah, super fun on that one. Okay, let's read one more. Oh, we're gonna do this one in a sec. Susu says, this isn't campground related. Tired of people not cleaning up after their dogs. I pick up dog doo-doo after my dogs do their business. Trash. Oh, we're not going to read that. Okay. We're not going to call names.
Oh,
Yeah, we're not going to call people names, but that is campground related. And we're
it's
going to
very
talk about that on another
Mhm.
episode because dog courtesy is key.
Huge, huge. And I actually do the same thing. Usually when I'm at a dog park, traveling, I will make sure I pick up my dog do, but there's
Mhm.
sadly usually somebody else is there, and I always try to just. I mean, I've got the extra bags. Why not bend down and pick it up so that
Yeah.
it's a little bit nicer for the next person? And same with a campsite. If
Have
I
you
see
ever
it,
been laying in your camper and you see someone like going on their site and they feel like if they back their dog's rear end into a pile of leaves, somehow it's okay to leave it? It's gonna
yeah,
draw flies and some kid is gonna
hmm
walk in there because kids can't resist a pile of leaves. No
right,
matter where they do it, pick it up.
pick it up. Yeah, I do see. Yeah, I will agree on that. Where it's
Yeah.
an unmowed part. Oh, that's
Yes.
just nature. No,
Decomposing nature.
no.
No, because dogs don't live in the wild on campgrounds, FYI.
And
Raccoons, deer, let that
And
decompose.
when you have 100 dogs there maybe in a week, and you
Mhm.
let them all do that, can you imagine?
Stinky,
Oh,
stinky.
pick
All
it
right.
up.
We're going to take topic number 2 after this message from one of our sponsors.
Take your indoors, outdoors with Spacious Skies Campgrounds, a collection of 15 campgrounds and RV parks spanning the eastern United States. Each location is unique, but all offer the perfect escape to the great outdoors if you're looking to spend quality time with friends and family, or you simply need a scenic home base for your nearby adventures. Choose from RV sites, cabins, yurts, retro RV rentals, or tent sites, and enjoy on site amenities that offer convenience, creature comforts, and fun. Visit us at spaciousskiescampgrounds.com for more information and easy online booking. We welcome and invite all campers to camp on with Spacious Skies Campgrounds.
Welcome back, everyone. All right. This is the topic. This
Okay.
is a topic we've all heard so many times. This is from Pamela. How would you handle being in a long term spot, which means through December? So, a seasonal site.
Mm.
If your neighbor has extremely bright motion sensor lights that shine in your bedroom with every motion outside. I texted the manager, and in a moment or two, the light sensors apparently were turned off. Another camper says, I may have to move to another spot, but I was here first and I like my spot. I just want the nighttime to be nighttime, not day, right? With light that take away from the atmosphere. I'm camping alone because I actually live in my camper. It would be difficult for me to move to another spot because my little truck had a hard time getting in here to begin with. Do I have the right thing? Did I do the right thing on letting the manager know by text message? Or should I have asked them to please get a not so bright light that lights up even when I just want to stand in my drive in front of my camper? That's a Or should I just have asked them to please get a not so bright light that lights up even when I just want to stand in my drive in front of my camper? Not sure what that means. Other than the lights, I'm okay.
It sounds Are these lights at the campground, not necessarily on somebody else's camper?
Oh, I
Possibly?
thought it was because she says her neighbor. How do you
You're
handle
right.
a long-term spot in which your neighbor has extremely bright? Okay.
So this could kind of go both ways. whether it's a campground
Mhm.
or the neighbor. And it and it the answer can kinda go both ways too. The motion lights are, for some people, a security thing that they wanna know if someone's
Mhm.
approaching their camper, and that can be a benefit to you too, but I also get the annoyance factor. So, I think it's okay to talk to them and see if the sensitivity can't be toned
Mhm.
down
Mhm.
so that every little thing isn't setting it
Setting it
off.
up, because I think
Yeah.
there's an adjustable thing on there.
On good ones, yes,
Yeah.
there are. So,
Well,
that's something to really
I
consider.
I feel like too, before she texted the manager, maybe she should have just put up with it that night,
Mm.
and then the next day speak to your neighbor.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't really understand that it's shining right in your camper.
Could be. People, I think, are comfortable with that face-to-face confrontation, so I can
Mhm.
see her going to the manager first and letting them handle it,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I think I definitely would've. I don't know. That is a
So
really tough one.
this is interesting to me because it's been about a month and a half since I started using my seasonal site.
Mhm.
I love my next door neighbors at the seasonal site, and mine backs up to the woods, and it's woods and woods and woods. There's nothing back there. Deep into the woods, way past like the border of ours, they've put two motion sensor lights on two trees out there, and they're pretty high up. And I suppose, and there's a lot of deer. So they go off all the time. So just so happens where the bed is in a fifth wheel, I got my window open, which I so enjoy in a fifth wheel because you're kind of off the ground
Mhm.
and, nobody can walk by. So I got the window wide. All of a sudden that light goes on and it's in my face. I'm like, what's going on? What? Because it's pretty bright.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I saw that. And then the next morning I went out there and I saw the lights for the first time out in the woods there. And I thought, well, there's nobody back here. Why do they have these on? But maybe they have it it's it's not bothering me enough that I just rolled over, but I don't know why they have them, but maybe it makes them feel safe in
Mhm.
some way. But someone wrote last week into Girl Camper, and I mean, we had to shut down comments on that one. Somebody had a big fifth wheel, and you and I both have fifth wheels. Up in the front cabin there, up in the front,
Mhm.
there's built-in light,
Yes.
and they're strictly decorative.
They're
They're
actually
yeah.
they're actually called scare light.
Scare lights?
Scare light. Yeah. There's called scare lights to
So they
scare people.
they don't
Yeah.
want people to come up to your camper.
Mhm, and to be, like, messing where your compartments and stuff maybe are under there. Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2 light buttons under mine. One is to light up the hitch, so if you were hitching up in
Mhm.
dark, but the other is just orange fluorescent lights that go down the side,
Mhm.
where it says Cougar, and they are really bright.
Right.
So I turn those off at night. I don't turn them on at all. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't need them on. But so this woman was writing and she said these people had all these neon lights connected to their camper and they were lighting up all over and they're shining right. I would go up to those people and say, "Oh, I know you're enjoying your week." I mean, they're sleeping. What do they care?
Right.
Turn them off.
Yeah.
But I just think if maybe you let people know nicely, they might turn them off.
Mhm.
And let's say they didn't though. That
Mhm.
maybe they're all, "Oh, yeah, put my lights up wherever I want."
Mhm.
I don't know if it's worth it to go to the campground because it is your site. You can do whatever you want.
That's a tough one. It's a tough one, and some people don't realize that their lights are even on
Mhm.
or that they're that bright to
Mhm.
impact somebody else, so I do think, yeah, a conversation with, "Hey, do you mind at night, shut your
Yeah.
lights off?" Just kinda like, generators and
Right.
noise after a certain
Right.
PM, same with the lights. And the other thing, like what you were talking about with the lights at your seasonal site, you could maybe visit with your neighbor. Can they point the light a different direction?
Mhm.
So the sensor still would maybe go off, but the light
Because
would be.
the lights just go straight out,
Yeah.
which happens to just kinda line up with my window.
Mhm.
So they could point them downward,
Yeah.
and usually I'm out like a light, so it doesn't bother me. But, let's see what people say here. Diane says, "Most parks require lights out at 10." I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Okay.
Oh, I have to pay
That
attention to that
includes
one.
spot and motion lights.
Hmm.
Camp hosted for a year or two and had this problem on occasion. I enjoy soft lights at night. I want to see the stars. When I can't sleep because of the light wakes me up, who knows what's out there? You did the right thing. Okay, I didn't know that they had a light requirement. I've never had that enforced by a campground or?
I guess I've never paid attention for it before.
Let me tell you, I'm new to the seasonal camping world, and everybody has decorated sites and American flag light things hanging on their camper and the lights that go underneath the camper and light up. There's a lot of lights on seasonal sites.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. You're gonna have to pull your window. Let's see what else they say. B, I'm a bit passive aggressive. Well, maybe a lot. If after 3 nights after I texted the manager, come out and oh no, come on, B. She has a picture of an axe. Hack that thing into pieces. Don't come at me because I don't care.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
B, stop camping.
Don't do that.
Stop
Yeah.
camping.
Don't be
Yeah,
passive aggressive and do things like
no,
that.
don't. Yeah, I think if you're that upset about someone else's life, you just have to move.
Move. Yeah.
You should be dispersed camping somewhere
Right.
because
Yeah.
when you are in a campground, you're agreeing to live in community.
Right. And I can say as a dispersed camper, someone, who boondocks a
Mhm.
lot, boy, we don't see
Mhm.
the lights being left on or generators or anything like that. Because I think everybody that does that knows they're out there for the enjoyment of the
Of the
outdoors.
great outdoors.
Yep.
And, one lady said earlier, I like night to be night. I'm with you on
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
So we're here in your fifth wheel.
Mhm.
I'm camping right now on Lisa's property in South Dakota. And I was sleeping on this couch the other night and I woke up pitch black out here and a billion stars.
Yeah.
I just looked out that window and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, I had to go to the door then because I had to see. I mean,
Mhm.
you don't get to see this in New Jersey and suburbia.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And
So,
your view is great.
yeah.
If you're we have newer neighbors on the other side over here, and they've installed, 2 of them have installed some very, very big, bright, motion
Mhm.
detected lights. And in fact, we kind of call them the landing lights, like you see at an airport.
Yeah.
And some conversations do need to be had there. Can you maybe tone
Mm.
those down? Because
On those
yeah,
Yeah.
ruined our
Well,
ability.
I guess they're protecting their property at night. And
Mhm.
I feel like they fade out at 11. Somebody writes here, Melissa, an easy, peaceful solution would be to cover your bedroom windows or just ask your neighbors to tilt their light in a different direction.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on the lights, but honestly, I don't want blackout shades in my window. I like air.
Same.
I want to hear what's going on outside. I love to sleep with the window open at the campground. I don't think you should have to do that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that answer because that is definitely, one possible solution, but I also agree with you. My little guy Micro has blackout shades in it,
Mhm.
but if I put them up, I'm not gonna feel that nice night breeze come
Yeah,
through,
I
so
do like that nice breeze. I mean, see,
Mhm.
the original poster here had an update. I did speak to the neighbor. One of the brighter lights is now on when he comes or goes from that doorway. He also told me that after I spoke with him, but it didn't stop me from putting up my privacy window decoration that you trim and stick on like a window cling. Picture is in one of my comments. Okay, so that doesn't bother her. So she spoke to the
Okay.
neighbor so you want to remain peaceful with the neighbor, but those cling things, have you seen them? You get them on
Yeah.
Amazon
Yeah.
and it just, you don't,
It helps
all you have
darken
to do is
things.
spray your window.
Mhm.
You put them on and you glide over it and
With
then,
water, yep.
and then
Mhm.
it dries and
Yeah.
they're on, but they're removable.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know. That seems like a good solution, but we were camping on the Western Slope in Grand Mesa, Western Slope, Colorado. For those that don't know what Western Slope is, Grand Mesa, 11,000 feet. It is so cool there because when you're camping at that elevation, the stars feel like they're right here.
Yeah.
And so my nerdy brother-in-law, loved camping with him. He comes over and he says, the Milky Way is going to be out at 2 if you want to set your alarm, right? And I'm like, oh, God, I can't wait to see that. My alarm goes off. I go outside. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But here's these people in this big Class A over there, and they got the lights going on underneath. They got their awning lights on. They got so much light going on over there that you're sitting there in this total darkness. You've traveled across the country and switched back up to 11,000 feet to
Mhm.
be able to sit out there. And this guy has the lights on. And I'm like, it did impact the experience.
Mhm.
It did. And I just feel, I mean, I just lived with it because I don't like I was wasn't going to go up and tell the guy. And I said to my brother-in-law, "Do you think we should ask him to turn the lights off?" He's like, "No, no, just you don't know. You don't know who you're asking. Just
That's
like,
true.
we're
Yeah.
up here. We're going to be here for 2 weeks. He looks like he's here for the summer." And so I didn't say anything, but it was too much.
Mhm.
And you got to know when you're setting all that up and you're in a very rural place like that, people have come there for that dark night experience. It did kind of,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
dampened it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just be nice.
So I would say your neighbor is not a crappy camper. He just may not have known.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so if you want to be the opposite of a crappy camper, like just take things nicely. I mean, when
Mhm.
people say something to you, and there's the old saying too, it's not what you're saying, but how you're saying it.
Mm.
So B here, who was like, "I wouldn't put up with that, I'm kind of passive aggressive." You catch more flies with honey,
Yeah. Yeah.
so don't do it. I mean, just approach people nicely. And if you don't have that personality to approach people, get the camp host to do it for you.
Exactly.
You could do it anonymously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, all right.
Easy.
Well, this is our first episode of Am I a Crappy Camper?
That's fun.
Fine. Okay. Well, this is Lisa. No, this is Janine.
I'm Lisa.
Lisa and Janine from the Girl Camper Podcast. Have a good week, everybody. See you soon.